Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
It is a sickness in this league. They stink, and they should stink next year. That's it.
But the expectation is to be a 9-8 football team.
So let's shake it. Why is that the expectation? They're garbage. And traded away two of the few good guys they have.
But they're going to get how many draft picks in the first round? 3 next year?
2.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Brissett has been that good. So this is a quarterback that I think is worth acquiring, but especially in Superflex leagues. If somebody's already got QBs past the bye and Brissett's just collecting dust on somebody's bench, go out there, get him, because I think the next 4 weeks, some of the matchups too, he gets Jacksonville, he gets San Francisco, he gets Tampa. Those are going to be some higher scoring games potentially. Good news for fantasy managers who are trying to get Jacoby Brissett.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Today's prop was 15, right? And he's at 44. If you altered him to 20 or 25 plus, those are some big numbers. Like 15 and a half, like Jack Besh this morning was 11 and a half, and his number got bet up to 15 and a half. Tyler Lockett was 16 and a half and bet down to 15 and a half. If you just took a shot, like 15 to 25 is nothing. And next week, his number's not going to be 15.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone A. Johnson right there. After, for me, one of the greatest NFL weekends we have had in a long time. You got one story over here to the left, I get great joy out of. One story over here to the right, I get great joy out of. Because as always, I'm right. And sometimes it takes a couple extra weeks for me to be proven right. But once again, right is right and wrong is wrong. So let's start with the obvious one, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I came in here last week, I believe it was on Thursday and Friday, and I told you there was no way the Kansas City Chiefs were going to lose that game to the Denver Broncos, because I had deduced and figured out that the NFL was going to do what it always does over the last 7 years, and that is what? Protect the Kansas City Chiefs, protect Patrick Mahomes, protect Andy Reid, and come up with some fugazi bogus calls by the officials that hand the win to them on a silver platter, nice and wrapped up as if it's Christmas morning or Christmas Eve, depending on when you like to share your presents with your kids for the highest of holy days, right?
Yeah.
And then somehow, some way, the NFL did the unthinkable. They not only hired a reputable officiating crew, they forgot to send the email to them to put the fix in, to make sure that Kansas City would do what they've done a lot, 80% of the time, prior to yesterday's loss to the Denver Broncos, and that is win after a bye week. That's their narrative, right? Oh, the Denver Broncos have no chance because the Chiefs are 8-2 with Mahomes and Reid after the bye week, and they're favored by 3.5 on the road, and all the stuff that comes along with it. But what I even forgot to take into account, and I'll take ownership of this, I forgot that there was the possibility that there might be an officiating crew that has, what's the word I'm looking for? Class.
All right.
That there might be an officiating crew that takes their job seriously. There might be an officiating crew that is not going to be swayed by the powerful arm of the NFL to hand another victory over to the Kansas City Chiefs. So we wake up today, and the once vaunted Kansas City Chiefs, who had this Fugazi dynasty going on, are now an average team. Let that sink in, because it's still Andy Reid, it's still Steve Spagnuolo, it's still Patrick Mahomes, it's still Travis Kelce. At 5-5, you are an average team by definition. And the reason I'm right about what I said last week, despite all the tweets I have from people telling me, oh, how'd that go for you? It went pretty well. It went pretty well. because it confirms what I've been saying, not just on this show, but on any show I've ever worked on for any network I've worked for over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And that is this, and let this sink in, America.
Mm-hmm.
When the Kansas City Chiefs do not get the benefit of outrageously bad calls, they're an average football team. And now I think we got to look at this mini dynasty under a whole new light. And now we need somebody to like the Doge group in the government to go back and start really looking at a lot of their wins in the Patrick Mahomes era, a lot of their Super Bowl appearances in the Mahomes era, a lot of their Super Bowl wins in the Mahomes era. Because this is what I know. And it proved itself again to me yesterday. When you don't give them outrageous and egregious calls, they are an average football team. Period. Stop. I give the Denver Broncos a lot of credit. They had a number of chances to fold there when they couldn't score touchdowns early. Their defense did a great job. Bo Nix, again, was not awesome, but good enough late with a couple key third down gets to get them down the field, and then ultimately to kick that field goal that wins the game. Lutz has been as good a money kicker as anybody in football this year. But that's not the story. The story today is twofold. One, the dynasty is over, folks. It's over. And then two, was it ever a real dynasty? Did they get there on merit? And we have our investigative staff working on that now. But what a glorious day. 10 games into the season, and the Kansas City Chiefs are an average football team. And right now, they're on the outside looking in. They've got the Colts this weekend, another tough game. And there's only 2 games left on their schedule, as you can see right there. The Titans and the Raiders, that we all agree, guaranteed dubs.
100% for those two.
They're going to get to 7 wins, but there is no guarantee they get to 8 or 9 or 10. And when you don't make the playoffs, by definition, the dynasty is over.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that is very exciting. Woo! That is very exciting. And now I got to dig into this, to the other wins.
You do. Because you got to do.
Well, for example, when they beat the Eagles, that was a very bogus call on James Bradbury late in the game. They let him hold like that. They adjusted to the officials. They let him hold the whole game. Then late, when Jalen Hurts was thrashing him, they throw the flag.
Yeah.
And that delivered them a Super Bowl. Without the referees in that Super Bowl,
you're preaching to the choir, Tyrone.
That Super Bowl.
Now, I want to be clear. Is Patrick Mahomes a good quarterback? Yeah, he's good. He's good. Yeah. Is Andy Reid a good coach? He's good. Pretty good. Is Steve Spagnuolo a good defensive coordinator?
Sure.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Travis Kelce, a decent tight end?
Decent.
Yeah, decent. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Set a record yesterday.
But they are not. They are not the Tom Brady Patriots.
Nope.
They are not the Terry Bradshaw Steelers.
Absolutely not.
They are not the Joe Montana San Francisco 49ers.
No, they're not.
They're not the Troy Aikman Dallas Cowboys.
Nope.
And here's the difference. Those teams won on merit. Those teams showed up on Sunday and were the best team. The Kansas City Chiefs has been done on smoke and mirrors. The Kansas City Chiefs run has been aided by, on purpose, horrendous officiating.
That's right.
That has handed them extra first downs, extra scoring opportunities, and taking the same away from their opponent. But we all saw it yesterday, 425, the national window, everyone watching. What are the Chiefs going to do off the bye? And the only thing I got wrong is that I forgot that there might be a reputable official left in the NFL. I thought every one of them was on the payroll. But we learned finally, and someone give me the dude's name because I want to call him out in a good way.
Yeah.
The officiating crew in yesterday's Bronco-Chiefs game should do the Super Bowl on merit. Because they said, I don't care about Patrick Mahomes. I don't care about their post-bye record. I don't care about the NFL invested in the dynasty. We're going to call it the way it is. A great job officiating, by the way, by the referees, except for that second DPI on Moss. He didn't touch him. You get one bad one. I'll give you one bad one. And now here's go ahead.
The referee, by the way, Adrian Hill.
That's my
was
guy.
the main ref.
Adrian Hill?
Yes, he was the referee. The line judge, Julian Knapp. Give him
I know. I just want the ref. I just want the head guy. I want the head guy. I can't give you 9
You got to put the whole. That has to be the crew.
The Adrian Hill crew. I'm going to do the whole crew.
The whole crew.
Yes, the whole crew. And I guarantee you this: the Adrian Hill crew will not do another Chiefs game this year. They will not do another game this year.
No way.
Because and I'll tell you something else. I think we learned another valuable lesson. The NFL, which quite famously, and I think obnoxiously, embarrassingly, the NFL has said, without using these words, that they're now out of the Taylor Swift business as well. Yeah. Because that got old for everybody also. Remember, part of the reason over the last few years that the NFL was heavily invested in the Chiefs' success was because the biggest pop star on the planet was in love with one of the most popular guys on the Chiefs.
Yep.
And when she started showing up to games, all of her fans, many of them for the first time, the Swifties out there,
That's right.
started watching more NFL games when the Chiefs were playing. So it was good business for the NFL to make sure the Chiefs advance and advance and advance. And that's a fact. There are hidden memos in NFL locked offices, I'm sure, that talk about if Taylor's going to the game, make sure the Chiefs win because we want all those Swifties watching the NFL.
That's right.
Well, now that the tour's been over for half a year and they got engaged, and none of us really give a rat's ass anymore about Travis Kelce being engaged to Taylor Swift, the NFL's moving on to someone else. The NFL's moving on.
Moving on.
And I know who they've moved on to.
Who?
And I will tell you who the NFL is moving on to after the break.
Oh, wow.
And you're going to love it. We got lots more football coming your way. Shedeur Sanders got to play yesterday, and it was arguably the worst performance in the history of the NFL. We'll defend after this.
Detroit's going to be a top 6 team in the East. And they're going to be extremely dangerous. And it may be fun to watching that Central Division between Detroit and Cleveland. Kind of makes you think back to the old early 2000s with LeBron and obviously the Chauncey Billups-led Detroit team. But Detroit basketball's back.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF now.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72-0.
Keep that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can just cash out and say, see you later, bye-bye, and sell that contract. So there is a big difference. I've already said I will never, ever, ever again make a future bet with a sports book where the money gets tied up and I have to wait till the outcome of the event. Don't have to do that. All future bets for me are going to Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And the amazing thing you're going to say about Tom Izzo for the jump is, Tom Izzo don't duck anybody. You want to hear who they have to play preseason? Kentucky, Duke, UNC, and Arkansas. This is not the Jimmy Boeheim Don't Leave New York Carrier Dome Classic. This guy plays people.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. One other note, just to finish the thought here, about why the NFL is now out of the Kansas City Chiefs business and are no longer vested in keeping this Fugazi dynasty alive. You may remember, it's about maybe a month and a half ago. You can fact check me on the date. The date's kind of irrelevant, though. But you might remember before they announced that Bad Bunny was going to be the halftime show at this year's Super Bowl, the name that was floated out there was Taylor Swift.
Yep.
And by the way, Taylor Swift would be a fine choice.
Yes, she would.
To be an NFL halftime show.
Tons of hits.
Yeah,
People
she's
know her.
The biggest female in music and has been for a number of years. So they decided it was Taylor Swift. You couldn't argue it, right? People still a lot of America, country-ish, pop, that, right? All good, right? Mm-hmm. But you might remember, again, it's about a month and a half ago, give or take, right? Where the rumor was out there that the NFL had reached out to Taylor Swift and her team to see if she'd be interested in doing it.
Yep.
And you may also remember that the response was no thank you. Mm-hmm. She said no. Now remember, the performers do not get paid to perform. All their costs are covered, but you don't get costs plus a check. Right. And the idea is that you're going to perform in front of 130 million people. That's great for your sales. You wind up making a lot of money, but they do not get paid to perform at halftime, other than all expenses are covered.
Right.
I want to be clear.
You don't lose money.
Right. For those of you that didn't know that, it's not a moneymaker for the artist, specifically because you're performing. It's all the ancillary money that comes in because people go out there and buy your album, okay? But here's the point. The NFL, many times, are or is very vindictive.
They are.
Like, if you wrong the NFL, they have a long memory, and they don't like it because they think they're like the kings of the world, and in sports they are. Like, we can't even argue they're the most powerful entity in all of sports. But here's the reality. You don't say no to the NFL. You don't. It's like the mob in a way. And Taylor Swift said no to the NFL. So how does the NFL react to that? Typically not well when somebody says no. So they were like, oh, you enjoyed the last 2 years while you were being courted by your boyfriend? You enjoyed all the FaceTime we gave you as a rule mandated by the NFL to every network partner that if she's at the game, I want to see her because her fans want to see her and her fans are raising ratings up to never before seen highs, right?
Yep.
You said no to us. Well, let's see how much you enjoy your boyfriend, now fiance, and his team having to win on merit. As we all know, the NFL is a very hard game to win.
Very.
I was talking with a dear buddy of mine yesterday, texting with him about the Packers-Giants game, and we both agreed it don't matter how you win because winning becomes a beautiful thing. His words, not mine, right? And it's hard to do it.
Very hard.
Right? So now the NFL's like a jilted lover, man. The NFL's like, you turned your back on us. We're going to show you, Carly Rae, who you're going to rue the day, okay? And the NFL, by allowing an unbiased officiating crew to call yesterday's game, is merely the NFL telling Taylor Swift, nobody says no to us. It's a wrap for the Kansas City Chiefs. The only way they get back into the 12-win, 13-win, 14-win type of season would be next year if Taylor Swift agrees to perform at halftime. Outside of that, it's over. And now we're all going to look back at all the wins they have because of Fugazi officiating. So just keep that at the back of your mind, okay?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. And Taylor Swift said no in large part because she signed a Disney deal. Well, if you do the halftime, it has to go out via Apple. That's why she couldn't do it.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
No, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
But isn't the Super Bowl on ABC this year?
No. It's about where the halftime show gets distributed via Apple. That's the deal.
But isn't the halftime show on ABC also?
Yeah, but that's
It's
why
not a Disney-owned company?
It is.
Okay.
But that's not how it gets distributed. The music rights goes to Apple. It doesn't go to Disney.
Oh, she doesn't get paid anyway.
That's why she said no. All the streams and stuff, it goes to them.
Okay.
And it's NBC this year.
Oh, it's on
not
NBC
ABC
this year? All right,
Therefore, if Taylor Swift, she's behind the scenes, it gets bigger. She's going to have to sever her Disney deal and get an Apple deal, or the Chiefs may lose forever.
Well, good. Hopefully they do. Now let's go on to the other big news in the NFL, and that is the first ever NFL game being played, not started. Dylan Gabriel had a concussion, and here he comes. The prodigal son. Shedeur Sanders finally gets in. And because of the performance yesterday, all the Shedeur backers are now trying to place blame everywhere other than on Shedeur. Shedeur Sanders yesterday in his first ever NFL game, so I do give him some grace. I'm not going to judge his entire career on 16 pass attempts.
Fair enough.
But we can give you an idea of what we thought and how he looked And I'll put all the blame you want to put on the Browns' offensive line and then being a bad offense no matter who the quarterback is. But Shedeur Sanders completed 4 passes. He was 4 for 16 for less than 50 yards. And we went back. This is no joke. He is now the lowest rated quarterback in the history of the NFL. That is a fact, with a 13.5 rating. Had a couple sacks, had a fumble, they didn't lose. And look, it just looked bad. But now here's the reaction from a good portion of America that wanted to see Shedeur Sanders. And look, a couple weeks ago, I came around. I wanted to see him too, because Dillon Gabriel's not an NFL quarterback. I don't know if Shedeur is or isn't. He will now, you figure, have a couple weeks now with Dillon Gabriel and concussion protocol to prove whether he is or isn't. But it's always funny to me when a guy goes out there, and again, I'm not judging his career on a half of football. That would not be fair for me to do. We all agree it looked terrible.
Horrible.
But now he'll have the whole week to practice and be the starting quarterback, and my gut is going to look a little bit better next weekend.
It won't be worse.
It can't be worse, right?
It won't be worse.
But now the Shedeur stands who think he's God's gift to quarterbacks. There's a lot of guys out there, many of them in the media. Now it's this. Kevin Stefanski, the embattled head coach of the Browns, was asked by someone in a post-game press conference about Shedeur practicing with the number ones at any point. And he admitted that even though he was the backup quarterback the last couple of weeks, at no point since he got drafted has Shedeur Sanders ever taken a single rep with the quote-unquote ones.
Yeah, even preseason when he played,
has only
never.
practiced with backups or third strings or in the summer, fourth string cats. So this is the first time he ever lined up behind center with starters from left to right. That being said, if you're a Shedeur supporter, this is not the week to gloat. This is not the week to talk. This is not the week to open your mouth, because he did not do well yesterday. And again, I'm giving him grace. But based on what I did see for half of football, he's no better than Dillon Gabriel. He's not an NFL quarterback yet. But let's see what happens this weekend. But if you wanted a guy to get off to a good start, he didn't. Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now, because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
A little bit of a brand crisis when it comes to the league, going from 54 to 72. Although I think it can help some players, I think it kind of hurts the brand of the league and what it kind of stood for, the innovation, the loudness, the different aspects of the game, the whole shotgun aspect, which makes it different. But is it better for these guys when they show up in majors?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
I want to go back 4 weeks in time. That's our time machine right there. 4 weeks ago today, actually 4 weeks and 3 days ago today, I sat here with Tyrone A. Johnson. I said something that you mocked me for. I said something that many people online were like, you don't know nothing about football, Carton. And I said, just wait to see what happens, because I'm either going to be proven right or I'm going to be proven wrong.
Okay.
Once again, proven right, because that's what I do. I get crap right. Have the Baltimore Ravens lost since I said at 1-5 that they were going to run the table?
No.
Have they lost?
No, but I didn't ridicule that.
No, you mocked me, you attacked me, you questioned my football knowledge. It's okay, you were not alone. But at 1-5, there was only one guy in America that had the temerity, the balls, if you will, to make a prediction like I did, because I know ball. All right. And what did I do? I told you at 1-5, they were not only going to come back and win the division, they were going to run the table.
Yeah.
And it didn't look great yesterday. Lamar Jackson tried his damnedest to give the Cleveland Browns the victory after having ample opportunity to score a lot of points, turning the ball over, throwing bad picks, throwing late, throwing all over the place. But alas, they won the game by 4. You know, they knocked Dylan Gabriel out, and Shedeur Sanders stunk also. And now we wake up this morning, and the prediction has come true.
No, it hasn't.
Because the Baltimore Ravens have now rocked off 4 consecutive wins. They're 5-5. Aaron Rodgers broke his wrist on his non-throwing hand.
He did.
He might still play with it. They're going to make that determination by midweek. But the Steelers are not great, even though they blew the Bengals out yesterday without Aaron Rodgers in the second half. But at some point, you're going to have to come around to the fact that the best team in the AFC, not the Indianapolis Colts, not the New England Patriots, the Baltimore Ravens coming for you. And my guy, Lamar Action Jackson, who was terrible yesterday, was still good enough when he had to be. And Derrick Henry was good enough when he had to be to win their 4th consecutive game and get back to 500. And they're now a game out of first and a game out of the last wild card spot as well. It's on. Like Donkey Kong. You can hear it. You can hear it. Those are the hoofs. Those are the hoofs of the Baltimore Ravens.
The hoofs of the Ravens that fly?
Yeah.
They fly.
No, a raven's a horse, man.
A raven is a bird.
No, not this raven. Quote the raven nevermore. Yeah.
No.
They got hooves.
Now, if we're going to be fair here, and I'll even ignore the you're always right thing. I don't feel like arguing with you about that.
Sometimes you just got to wait.
There's 7 more games.
Win.
Now you say that. But you know you're not correct, right? You know they're not going to win 11 straight, right?
I mean, we do a segment here. We can do it next if you want to do it after that. It's a short segment, but coming up in a few minutes, if you want to bring back Spot the Lie, I got no problem. If you want to tease that, go ahead.
Yeah, because
Spot the Lie. Who are they losing to?
I'll tell you who they're going to lose.
Go ahead.
They're going to lose to the Patriots.
Oh, stop it right now. The Patriots beat up on the Jets, on the Dolphins. The New England Patriots are going to end the season with a grand total of 2 wins against teams that have winning records.
That's one of them.
And I know we do a Fugazi schedule for some dopey reason, but the reality is that
it's up there.
Oh, did we change it? I can't
We have
see it.
all the opponents. There's the Jets, the Bengals, the Steelers, the Bengals again, the Patriots, the Packers, and then the Steelers. They're not winning out. That's all I'm saying. They're not winning out.
I can't see the screen there, but I'll help you out. The Cincinnati Bengals suck.
Okay,
we agree on that?
Yes.
They're not losing to the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's just agree on that.
They're going to
beat them. Principle.
They're going to beat them twice.
The Green Bay Packers lost at home to the Carolina Panthers.
They did.
And then they lost at home last week as well.
Yeah, they did.
And they
lost to the Eagles last week.
And they barely beat the New York Giants, in New Jersey yesterday.
Like the Ravens barely beat.
Okay, but the Green Bay Packers have not looked great.
They haven't.
They're good enough to be a playoff team, but they've not looked great.
They haven't.
So the Ravens win that game. Who else? The Patriots?
No.
Patriots haven't played anybody.
And they're going to split with the Steelers.
The Steelers
They're losing one of those games. They're losing 2 games before the end of the year.
Well, again,
that should be enough for the postseason, though.
12-5, division champions, round 1 at home, and nobody wants to go to Baltimore in mid-January to have to win a playoff game. I'm telling you now. And I told you, to be fair, Tyrone will back me up on this. At 1-5,
you did,
when everyone else was counting them out and firing Harbaugh, which I also agreed with at the time.
Yeah.
And everyone's now questioning, well, is this team ever going to be good enough to get to a Super Bowl? I stood here kind of like Braveheart me against the world.
Braveheart.
That's right. I consider myself a warrior, like Braveheart. And I said, it's never happened in the history of football before where a 1-5 team somehow, some way came all the way back and made the playoffs. And I said, they'll do more than that. They're going to run the table. They're going to run the playoff table. And it's the Baltimore Ravens that will be standing tall in the Super Bowl this year. The Patriots never played anybody. The Chiefs are Fugazi. The Colts have Daniel Jones. And I have Lamar Jackson. It's a Ravens world.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
No, but the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF now.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is
Newman's pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Hope you had a great weekend. I had an amazing weekend watching the Kansas City Chiefs lose again, down to 5-5, and knowing that little mini dopey dynasty is now over for good. But I want to have a little fun with you, Tyrone, okay?
All right.
I'm going to give you 3 different well-known people, younger people, who are related to famous people.
All right.
All right. And all 3 of these people are now attempting to engage in sports, all right? And they're all the offspring of a famous dad.
Okay.
Or a famous uncle, at least, okay?
All right.
But famous people in their family, okay? I want you to tell me, and I'll give you all 3 first, and then you can rank, all right?
All right.
Who had the worst weekend? Is that fair?
That's very fair.
All right, so here we go. All right. Exhibit A will be Shedeur Sanders.
Okay.
Shedeur Sanders gets in for half of football against the Baltimore Ravens, a team that, while their defense has been playing better, they have statistically one of the worst defenses in all of football. And Shedeur Sanders goes in. He's 4 for 16, 47 yards and a pick, 2 sacks, the lowest rating in the history of the NFL, quarterback rating of 13.5, okay? Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, they lose the game to the Baltimore Ravens, and he's unable to lead the Cleveland Browns to a victory against a division rival. That was Shedeur Sanders.
Bad
He's
game.
Exhibit A.
Yep, bad game for sure.
Bad game across the board,
for sure.
okay?
Yep.
All right. Exhibit B. I referred to this with some friends over the weekend as a Make-A-Wish moment, but the Los Angeles Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks this weekend, as you may know, and Luka had a great game, but they started Bronny James in the game. He wound up playing 10 minutes, and he had 0 points. Mm-hmm. A big goose egg, all right? 0. Matter of fact, one of the best memes of the weekend was the combination of Luka and Bronny had 41 points, 12 rebounds, and whatever. Yeah. And Luka had all of it.
No,
all right?
No, he had 1 rebound, 1 assist.
He had 1 rebound. Okay, great. Good job.
One rebound.
Good job. All right, so you've got Shedeur Sanders, Exhibit A.
Yep.
You've got Bronny James, Exhibit B.
Yes.
And then the third exhibit would be a young gal named Kai Trump. Kai is a freshman at the University of Miami. Her uncle is the president of this country, Donald Trump. She's a scratch golfer. I think she's actually a +1. And she had a sponsor's exemption into an official LPGA event. She shot an 83 in the first round. And when the tournament was done, she came in dead last. But a reminder, she's 18 years old and is not a professional golfer. So, of those 3 young kids who all have famous relatives, if you had to rank them 1 to 3, 1 being who had the worst weekend, and then down from there, or you want to go 3 and up, go right ahead, because I want to see if yours matches mine. Go ahead.
All right, so
who had the worst weekend?
The worst weekend to me.
Bronny was 0 for. Shedeur had the worst quarterback rating of all time. Kai Trump came in last.
I'm going Bronny had the worst one.
Bronny.
Oh,
okay.
And here's why.
Yep.
Now, Bronny, you've been in the league now. This is your second year in the league.
Yeah.
You were aware you were starting. At some point, you have to play well.
Right.
At some point. So he was the worst. Number 2, I got to go Shedeur. Now, Shedeur was quite terrible, as you noted. Quite terrible. In fact, only one other quarterback's ever gone exactly 4 for 16 before this, and it was 55 years ago, Terry Bradshaw.
Okay.
But he threw for 55 yards, so he was even better.
Okay.
Compared to the 46. And then third, I'll go Kai Trump because she didn't belong in that tournament.
Correct.
So it's not a surprise she came in last in it.
She should have come in last.
She should have never been in that tournament.
Right.
So that's why I show her grace there with that. So to me, it's Bronny. At some point, Bronny has to show a pulse.
Yeah.
Shedeur, I'm giving him another week, just one more week.
Yep.
Let's see what happens with a week of
I happen
practice.
to agree with you 100%. I thought you might go in a different order, but good to know that the grasshopper's learning. I'm Mr. Miyagi in this relationship.
It just makes sense to me.
But you're right. Like she's not a pro.
Right.
So if you're not a pro playing against pros, you're going to lose.
Yes.
Period. Stop.
Right.
So she should have come in last, and that's exactly where she came, and she should keep her chin held high. She got to play a professional tournament against the best women on the planet. And look, I can't shoot an 83 in an LPGA event. I'd probably shoot about 79, but I also am a man. I'm a man. Like there's an expectation that I'm going to shoot better because I hit the ball farther. So, I mean, I still come in last.
I will say, though, she gets grace this time. Now, if she keeps trying to enter these things before she's ready,
yes,
she has to be judged like everybody else.
You can't force yourself. Not that she did, but it was a cute little experiment. You don't turn down the opportunity.
Of course not.
You come in last. You have a great life experience. Now go back and play collegiate golf. Perfect your game.
Right. See you in a couple years.
See you in a couple years. I'm with you.
And then I will absolutely be fine with it.
The Bronny thing, I think, has to be number 1 also because, like, for Shedeur, that's the first chance he got.
Yeah.
And they suck.
And it was out of nowhere. He didn't know he was going to play.
Like, Tom Brady would suck on the Cleveland Browns right now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be clear about this, right? He'd be better. But he'd suck.
And we saw how bad that offensive line. They don't even know who to block.
Right.
Let alone.
Right. Like, the offensive line's terrible. The receivers aren't much better. They don't run the ball well. Like, it's an incompetently bad offense. So, asking Shedeur Sanders to come in the second half and suddenly light the world on fire, unfair expectations, and I want to be clear about it. If it wasn't for all the knuckleheads out there that keep building him up like he's the second coming, and guys that have never seen him play who want the rest of the world to believe that he was should have been the first pick overall, and they think that he's on a guaranteed franchise quarterback, all those people, they got their comeuppance yesterday. I don't think Shedeur Sanders did.
No.
I think now. Who do the Browns play upcoming this weekend? Check for me, please.
I have to look at the Browns' schedule, yes.
If Shedeur Sanders is announced today because of the concussion of Dylan Gabriel, that he's the starting quarterback.
He's playing the Raiders.
Playing the Raiders.
So that's an even matchup.
So this should be a game. Again, I'm not asking him to throw for 350 and 5 touchdowns, but he's got to look more competent.
Yeah.
All right? And he ran the ball decently well.
Yeah.
But he's got to go out there and show some poise, some confidence, and he's got to throw for a couple 100 yards against the Raiders, right? If he doesn't do that, and he looks the way he looked in the one half of football yesterday, then Shedeur supporters got to forever tighten it up. Yeah. Because, like I said, I'm in a good mood today. I'm in a giving mood today. I believe in grace. I'm giving him grace from yesterday. He's going to be the starting quarterback against the Raiders, and I will judge him a little bit more after that game. But if you're a Shedeur fan, I'm telling you right now, if your rhetoric today is, yo, it's messed up, man. It's messed up. Yo, that's not, he didn't get a fair crack. No, he did. He did. And he stunk, and they stunk. But your excuse today cannot be, it's his first time playing with the ones. He should have been better because he was playing with the ones, right?
Yeah, and the other part is you can't defend him harder than he defends himself. He was very aware. Now, whatever you think about him, he was very honest after the game. He showed support for Dylan Gabriel, and he said he thought he played poorly. Well, he didn't fake it after the game.
Because he's not stupid.
Right.
If he went out there and said, that wasn't my fault,
right.
Then you lose the locker room.
Exactly.
If you're like, man, I played my ass off, it'd be nice if the dude catches the ball in the end zone when I threw it to him, right? It'd be nice if my offensive line blocked a little bit better. No. You got to eat it.
Right.
If you want to walk into that locker room the next day and not have Myles Garrett smack you around, you got to eat it and say, that's on me. I got to play better. And my gut is he will play better against the Raiders. But I'm telling you right now, the world is divided. Because every dude out there, and I was one of them, that was like, this kid is not yet an NFL quarterback, and Stefanski knows that, and that's why he's not playing. All of us just got fuel in our engine.
Oh, yeah.
All of us are like, I told you so. And everyone that supported Shedeur, my dad taught me this lesson when I was a younger guy, when I was a teenager. And it goes like this. It's very simple. It can't always be everybody else's fault. Mm-hmm. At some point, you got to take some responsibility for what you do. Mm-hmm. So for everybody out there, from my main man Shannon Sharp to Ocho Cinco to
Josina Anderson,
who's like on his payroll, it seems like, right?
Yeah.
You can't defend what he did yesterday. He was terrible. You can talk about everything else on the side, but the kid looked overmatched in his first ever NFL opportunity. It's not guaranteed to be better next week, but it has to be better next week. And now I want to watch that game.
Yeah.
I'm invested now in watching that game. More on the Chiefs failures next.
Detroit's going to be a top 6 team in the East. And they're going to be extremely dangerous. And it may be fun to watching that Central Division between Detroit and Cleveland. Kind of makes you think back to the old early 2000s with LeBron and obviously the Chauncey Billups-led Detroit team. But Detroit basketball's back.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF now.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72-0.
Keep that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous Pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I can just cash out and say, see you later, bye-bye, and sell that contract. So there is a big difference. I've already said I will never, ever, ever again make a future bet with a sports book where the money gets tied up and I have to wait till the outcome of the event. Don't have to do that. All future bets for me are going to Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And the major thing you're going to say about Tom Izzo for the jump is, Tom Izzo don't duck anybody. You want to hear who they have to play preseason? Kentucky, Duke, UNC, and Arkansas. This is not the Jimmy Boeheim Don't Leave New York Carrier Dome Classic. This guy plays people.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Good to have you here. I'm just reading the gambling scandals growing and growing and growing. Now there's a report that an unnamed Orlando Magic starter back in 2023 tipped off gamblers that they were going to tank a game against the Cleveland Cavs. You may have read going into the weekend in New Jersey, a bunch of arrests, some mob-related people arrested, and a number of college basketball players who have yet to be named, who are allegedly fixing the outcome of games and prop wagers as well. And you have the NBA announcing over the weekend that their investigators, separate from the feds, but I'm sure in conjunction with, have reached out to the Lakers and have now requested/demanded a whole bunch of cell phones and email accounts. And two of those people that they want to take a look into their cell phones and email records are associates of LeBron James. Now, that doesn't mean LeBron did anything wrong, but they're certainly using his name for more attention.
Always.
But they're going after the Lakers now, and I've always been a believer, smoke equals fire.
Yeah.
Right? If you're confiscating cell phones and email accounts and you're doing a deep dive into messaging because you think someone involved with the Lakers, I'm assuming this is the Damon Jones part of the story from a couple weeks back. There are, I'm telling you right now as a fact, there are scared people right now in Los Angeles. There are people affiliated with the Lakers or employees of the Lakers and maybe former or current players with the LA Lakers that are now saying to their lawyers, do I have to give up my cell phone, and how do I whitewash the history of my text messaging? Well, I can tell you from experience, you can't. They got these tech dudes, the kids that you beat up in dodgeball in elementary school.
They get their revenge.
This is when they get their revenge.
Yeah.
That's what this is. You go into cybersecurity, you probably got bullied as an elementary school kid and didn't see a naked woman in high school. That's just the reality of it. And now the popular cool jocks that mocked you when you showed up in goth and painted your fingernails black and were part of the math club and the chess team and the debate squad, this is the payback, which is why a lot of those investigators are so zealous about going after athletes because you got wronged as a child.
Yeah, and you lived through some of this, unfortunately.
What?
You lived through some of this, unfortunately, where people, they didn't have to go that way. They do it in the worst way possible to get revenge, to compensate for how they feel inside, which is, something.
But I'm telling you, when those tech geeks are like, yo, we need your cell phone and your email password, you're done. It is a wrap, because anything you don't want them to find, even if it's not even affiliated with the case, they're going to find it. That means pictures. That means Instagram skanks that drop into your DMs. Yeah. And on a lonely night, you might write back, yeah, baby.
They go nuts.
Matter of fact, I'll be outside the Chuck E. Cheese tomorrow. I'm telling you, they'll expose everything. They might be looking for gambling stuff, and I don't think this is a subpoena because it's the NBA doing it.
Yeah.
But if you get subpoenaed for it, the rule of thumb is that they're only allowed to look at stuff associated with the case at hand.
Right.
But you're going to tell me that they're not looking at the nudes?
Of course they are.
They're not looking at the DMs? This gambling crap ain't going away.
Now, what happens if the guys got the pictures of the girlfriends or the wives on the phone?
Yeah.
Do they look at those too?
Of course.
Well, that's disrespectful.
You wouldn't look?
Of course I'd look.
Of course you look.
Of course I have to look.
Yeah.
I'm doing my job. I have to be thorough.
I got to do my job.
Right.
You just said the exact word. I've got to be thorough.
Gotta be.
I've got to be thorough. Because maybe that skanky Instagram model who's banging half the league late at night after you take care of business and you're just laying there smoking one, right? Mm-hmm. And she might go, so the over-under tomorrow night.
LeBron playing?
Baby. The over-under tomorrow night, baby. Can you? And you're just like, I'll tell you anything. What do you want to know? LeBron ain't playing tomorrow night, and I lost my legs because of what you just did. So take the under. That's how that happens, by the way. Yeah. So I was telling people this weekend, Cleopatra's a bad woman.
What do you mean?
She brought down nations.
Yeah. Well, she's legit.
Yeah.
I still think you underrate Helen of Troy.
No.
You do. They fought wars and they crossed seas for this woman.
No.
You don't show enough
Cleopatra.
respect.
Cleopatra took down Mark Antony and Julius Caesar.
Yeah, that's all right.
She took down Rome.
Man, the only reason we know about an Achilles injury, it all goes back to Helen of Troy.
You think he was running away from Helen of Troy, running to her?
Man, he was in there running towards her and did his Achilles got taken out. With an arrow all over her. It's undefeated, and you don't give her enough credit. She's a 1 seed. I'm not saying she's the only 1 seed. She's one of the 4 1 seeds.
So if you wanted to break out the 1 seeds, Cleopatra's 1 and Helen of Troy is a 1?
There's another 1 seed.
Okay, as long as Pamela Anderson's in there.
She's in there. She's a 1.
Then I'm good. And I guess for younger dudes, I guess Sydney Sweeney would have to be a 1 seed these days as well. A couple news and notes for you. Other than the gambling stuff that's cooking right now. The Miami Dolphins. Remember when the Miami Dolphins were about to fire Mike McDaniel?
Yeah.
And said they fired Chris Greer, the GM, and we all agreed that that guy had to go for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've 0 playoff wins under Chris Greer, and has been with the team for almost the entire century, right?
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins, with an ugly win yesterday, by the way, over in Europe, they're now suddenly in a place where they're 4-7. And they're not a good football team. I'm not suggesting they are. But I'm going to put a huge, a huge butt in there, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little Kim Kardashian ass on this one, okay?
All right.
The Miami Dolphins are going to wake up 8-7.
Well, yeah.
I mean, look at their schedule.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins are going to start, teasing people for the last wild card spot because the next 4 games are all winnable games. Now, look, I don't trust the Dolphins. I don't trust Tua. I don't trust Capri Pants. I like the fact that he vapes after or during games. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he likes Biggie. I'm good with that. I like the fact that he's kind of unique and quirky. I'm good with that.
Trolls people a little bit.
The Miami Dolphins are going to wake up in a month and be 8-7. And 8-7 means the Miami Dolphins are alive and well for the last wild card spot. And for a team, they're kind of like the AFC's version, in a weird way, of the Ravens, except that the Ravens have a badass quarterback and have more talent than they do, which is why the Ravens are making the run. But this just shows you why you don't necessarily fire a coach, 2 months into a season. There's no upside or benefit unless you've already decided that the replacement is going to be your future coach as well.
Right.
Because if the idea is that even the replacement is going to be kicked out as well, then you might as well keep the head coach because look what the Dolphins are doing. Now, I'm not saying the Giants would have done that, before firing Dable, but I know Kafka's not the answer for them either. The Dolphins are going to be 8-7. Remember I said that today. It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
It is a sickness in this league. They stink, and they should stink next year. That's it.
But the expectation is to be a 9-8 football team.
So let's shake it. Why is that the expectation? They're garbage. And traded away 2 of the few good guys they have.
But they're going to get how many draft picks in the first round? 3 next year?
2.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Brissett has been that good. So this is a quarterback that I think is worth acquiring, but especially in Superflex leagues. If somebody's already got QBs passed by and Brissett's just collecting dust on somebody's bench, go out there, get him, because I think the next 4 weeks, some of the matchups too, he gets Jacksonville, he gets San Francisco, he gets Tampa. Those are going to be some higher scoring games potentially. Good news for fantasy managers who are trying to get Jacoby Brissett.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Today's prop was 15, right? And he's at 44. If you altered him to 20 or 25 plus, those are some big numbers. Like 15.5, like Jack Besh this morning was 11.5, and his number got bet up to 15.5. Tyler Lockett was 16.5 and bet down to 15.5. If you just took a shot, like 15 to 25 is nothing. And next week, his number's not going to be 15.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyron Johnson here as well. A reminder, the show is available as a podcast. If you want more of us throughout your day, and let's be honest, you need it.
Of course.
Then download the subscribe. I guess the key thing is subscribing. Subscribe to the Craig Carton Show podcast, Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcast. It goes up every day, right around noonish or so.
I want to shout out somebody in the Lower East Side, another guy named Craig, who subscribed in front of me on Friday evening, said he's a big fan of the show.
There you go.
He was watching on YouTube. I said, well, you got to subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah.
And he did.
Nice. What were you doing on the streets of New York City?
Just hanging out with the missus, hanging out, watching sports, doing things.
Nice, there you go. One of the stories we woke up to yesterday, a sad story, a dude named Chris Boyd, who was a New York Jet I'm not all that familiar with. I know he's on IR and has not been playing. He and a bunch of his buddies were at a Chinese restaurant here in New York City. And there were a couple of fights broke out in the street and maybe inside the restaurant. No idea if he was involved in any of it. The word is that he recognized there's a bad vibe inside the restaurant. Some groups were jawing at each other. So he told his buddies, which included a couple other Jets as well, let's roll out of here. And then in the street, there was kind of a brawl. And then, unfortunately, as goes sometimes in this country, dude took out a gun and just started shooting. We don't know if Boyd was the intended target.
Right.
But the good news is that he went from clinging to life to now he has been stabilized by the doctors at a New York City hotel. And the craziest thing for me about the story is that the restaurant that this all happened at is the restaurant I took Tyrone to for lunch 3 weeks ago.
Really liked it.
So,
really liked that restaurant. I mean, listen, I guess I'm glad nothing happened, but the food's good.
Yeah, the hot and sour soup was awesome.
It was good, yeah.
The crispy rice with tuna tartare was awesome.
It was good, yeah.
The dumplings were good.
Yeah.
But we ain't going back.
No.
I can tell you that.
Not unless I could put on the vest.
Yeah. And then yesterday also reminded me how fugazi the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty has been. Because in a game in which I thought for sure going with the Broncos going into the bye week and having won 7 straight, and the Chiefs coming out of the bye week, this had one of those old wink, wada-doodles from the NFL to the officiating crew that it said our best interest for Kansas City to go to 6-4, right, and not drop down to 5-5 because we want Kansas City in the playoffs. But somehow, some way, they hired an honest, objective officiating crew, and it proves again what I've said from day one, despite all the heat that I get from Kansas City fans and their embarrassing media people who have gotten on their knees to service Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid for the last 5 years and thrown their masculinity right out the window. In an effort to curry favor, so, maybe I'll get to eat at 1587 Steakhouse too. Ooh, thank you, Patrick. Ooh, thank you, Travis. Embarrassing. No objectivity whatsoever. On the payroll, as it were. Well, what are you going to say today? As Chiefs fans went to bed last night crying, recognizing that it's over, that the NFL treated your team, I'm sorry to say this, like a Hunts Point hooker.
Oh, my goodness.
That's how the NFL treats you. Once the NFL decides they're done with you, you get kicked out of the crib. You get kicked out of the Sprinter. You get kicked out of the Maybach. You get kicked out with the clothes you came with on your back, and that's it. The NFL is now done sleeping with the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was great while it lasted. This is like, I don't know, this is like Pretty Woman type stuff.
Oh, yes.
When Richard Gere was done with Julia Roberts, he was done. Done. That's a wrap.
So you mean to tell me, like in those movies on HBO back in the day, that means they're going to be out there trolling without a car on foot?
That's right.
And you're going to take somebody to a truck stop?
Open-toe sandals. They'll be at a Jersey truck stop by noon today.
Oh, no.
Because the NFL's treating the Kansas City Chiefs like common street walking hoes. That's just what it is. They discard you like yesterday's newspaper, man. And you got to now deal with the reality that you're going to be back to where you were pre-Patrick Mahomes. Average at best. 5-5. Fighting tooth and nail for the last wild card spot. And why are they doing it to you? Because Taylor Swift said no. I ain't performing at no Super Bowl halftime show. And the NFL felt jilted. And they were like, oh, no. Now what are we going to do? And you saw it. You saw it yesterday because that was one of those games that we've seen in the last 7 years where a late call goes Kansas City's way. And then a second call goes Kansas City's way. And next thing you know, they're on the 10-yard line kicking a game-winning field goal or holding without it being called, and they walk away with a dub. They are 0-5 in one-score games this year. What does that tell you? They're not getting the calls they used to live off of. So it's a brave new world, and anybody can win the Super Bowl. We got a great week ahead. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed day.